Hi, this is Tiffany Coulter with The Balanced Life Redefined. And in this video, we are going to talk about how to budget for expenses that aren't monthly. I've been doing a lot of videos lately that show me talking to you, but in this one, there's a lot more visual that I need to show you. So I felt like a PowerPoint would be a little bit easier way for us to do this video. So let's get started. This system is best used for irregular expenses that can ruin a great budget plan. Some examples of these are auto insurance, birthdays, vacations, back to school. Really, it's expenses that aren't monthly that can mess everything up. And for years, I struggled to adequately prepare, but always seemed to miss something, and my budget got destroyed. Those expenses included things like we have here, but also things like garbage that was charged every 3 months, or auto insurance, which I have up there, which is every 6 months, or even life insurance, which for us comes in annually. So, what are the solutions? I came up with three different solutions that I use in combination with different kinds of bills, and we'll be going through that during the course of this presentation. But the first kind is making payments to myself. I do this with my auto insurance, and I did it a lot more before. I now use the allocated system, which I'll be describing at the end of this video, that revolutionized things for me this last year. But I would make payments to myself. Every month, I would pay my auto insurance into my savings because I get a huge discount. I want to say it's like 10 or 15%. Plus, I don't have to make this $3 a month payment plan fee um, on my auto insurance. So I paid it 6 months ahead. And then out of each budget, each month in my budget, I pay myself 1/6 of my auto insurance since obviously I have to pay it every 6 months. The second way is to buy during the year. That's useful for things like birthday presents, Christmas presents, I guess even like Valentine's presents and things, although that hasn't messed up my budget as much. But buying things during the course of the year, this is especially helpful for Christmas gifts because I'll find something really cool for somebody that's on sale and I go ahead and snap it up and put it aside. That way I can purchase meaningful gifts and things that will have a story behind them. Like, I found this for you here, or I was doing this when I found this. And it adds more meaning instead of just buying a gift out of obligation. And the third thing is this allocated fund, which I'm going to describe in great detail in just a few slides. So I hope you'll stick around for all of that because that, in combination with the final slide where I go through some other tips, have been a gigantic help in my budget over the last couple of years. So, continuing on, making payments to yourself, that's putting money into savings or a separate checking account that is designed for only this purpose. Now, I personally have bank accounts at two different banks in two different towns because that worked out for me. And one bank, I have my general checking and two savings accounts tied to it. One of them is my allocated savings, and the other is a shorter term savings. And the other account, I have a checking account that just has my car payment, and I can talk more about that in another video. Actually, I only have one car payment left. We used to have five vehicles. We didn't make payments on all of them, but we had five vehicles. And so now that the car payments are gone, I still make the same car payment, but now it's building up a reserve. I'm paying down the other car that will be paid off in the next 6 to 10 months as of this recording. Actually, in 2 months, I have an asset that will be making the payments. So, really, in 2 months, the bill will be gone from our family budget. But I continue to make the same car payments to build up that savings. So, when the time comes to purchase another vehicle in the future, I've already got that nest egg to either buy it with cash, or get a much more favorable interest rate if I have to finance. So, I also have a savings account tied to that, which I put in long term savings for things like household projects or major repairs. So, making payments to yourself, separate checking accounts designed only for this purpose. And if you'd like to know more about how I use these various checkings and savings accounts without getting myself all confused, messed up, losing money, wasting money, then put a comment and I will be happy to answer that question in a future video. But continuing on, before I go to the next tip, I'd like you to take a moment to like this video if you've heard anything so far that's helpful or you think you know somebody who might. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you're notified when I put up new videos. And feel free to visit my website, thebalancedlife.com, where I'm beginning to blog and go in a little bit more depth on some of these topics, as well as uploading these videos with a little bit more information. So visit over there and find out more. Now, buying throughout the year, as I said before, I do this with Christmas gifts and I find things during the year and I mark them off. I have a list of people that I need to buy gifts for and I add people to it during the course of the year. That also helps me keep on budget. I do keep a tally. I have a budget on what I'm going to spend each year for Christmas. I write it at the top and I mark it off as I go. You can also use things like a fifth paycheck or tax returns or planned money that you put aside in your budget, or again, this allocated fund that I'll mention to buy throughout the year as well. But I have found that this helps me to not overspend. And by having that list, I also don't realize there's people at the end that I forgot and end up blowing my budget on that. Okay, the much touted about allocated fund, at least I've touted about it throughout this video. This system takes all of the big annual expenses and divides them by 12, and all are kept in a savings account. Then you get the expense, as you get the expenses, you transfer them. It's not just annual expenses, it's any kind of larger and not monthly expense. So let me show you practically how we do this. The way to calculate it is you review 2 years of spending and look for things that are not monthly. Like I said, it could be something that's every 2 months or every 3 months. For example, that's the way our garbage is. Some people have quarterly water bills or utility bills. Um, if you are like a teacher or a nurse or a paramedic, you may have licensures which happen every 2 years or every 3 years. Um, and maybe you have continuing ed credits for some of those fields where you have to pay big chunks at different times of the year. Even if you're getting a reimbursement for it later, it could be months down the line. These kind of things can go in here. It's anything that can goof up the balance of your monthly budget. Number two, you account for new spending. So after you've reviewed the last 2 years or more, if you have things that happen even more periodically, you account for new spending. Maybe you know in 2 years you have a kid that's going into daycare, or a kid that's graduating, or a kid that's going off to college, or a kid that will be at the age where they'll be in high school sports or athletics. Well, you'll have additional expenses to consider. Add those things in and then consider inflation and increases. Um, it's an easy thing to pick on right now, but inflation's been happening, for a long time, and things do increase. I have had things go down, thankfully, but one example is our homeowners and our auto insurance. Over time, these things do continue to go up. And so padding your account a little bit and looking over the last few years at the rate of increase, consider that in the future since you'll be seeing that. If you can start with a seed, any amount of money, whether it's $25 or $2,500, if you can start the account out with a small seed, that will help. And then you're going to add and subtract. And I'm going to show you in this next slide exactly how we do that. So here I drew out a completely hypothetical budget where you see things like in January, vehicle registration at the beginning of the year, February, paying auto insurance and a birthday, March, another birthday, April, vacation, May, graduation parties, whether for your own kids or friends or family members that you know about who will be graduating. And so you have like graduation gifts to buy, family vacations, all of these kinds of things. And you see that the total of all these things that I put in there was $16,700 during the course of the year. Now, in this scenario, if you had some kind of license, like a teaching license, a paramedic license, a nursing license, like I described before, if it's every 2 years, what I would probably do is put half of it into that total because this is really a 12-month running total. But that way you could account for that extra money. So then you see I divided it by 12, which gave me $1,391.67, which I rounded up to $1,400 per month. Now, what I will hear people say is, oh my goodness, that's so much money. I cannot afford to put that aside every month. To which I say, and that is why your budget is out of whack. because you are buying these things. Only when they appear in your budget, you're putting them on your credit card. Some of this is trial and error. You may realize I can't spend that much on vacation when you look at it spread out like this. Or, wow, those Christmas gifts, I do have a little bit more that I could spend if I spread it out a little bit more. So go through this and look and see where you might need to adjust and pull these things out of your monthly budget. So, like life insurance, if it's in your monthly budget already, remove it. And then what you're going to add is this $1,400 a month in this scenario monthly allocation. And so in January, in my scenario here, $1,400 a month goes in, but 200 had to come out for vehicle registration in January. So in January, I would only deposit 1,200, that 1,400 minus 200 to the account. In February, I have $1,800 in expenses. So I don't, I mean, you could deposit 14 and then pull out 18, but what I would just do is subtract the two, and you have $400 that you would need to draw from this account. This is why I say it's best for you if you can have some amount of money to start it with, if possible. All right, so that's the nuts and bolts of it. If you have questions, put them in below and I will do further videos explaining that more. But how this helps, look at all these things. We have back to school, we have budgeting, we have vacation, we have family time. That in conjunction with using things like the envelope system, planning your meals, and using extra to help those people you care about can make you remain in balance throughout the course of the year instead of having it bump up and down. The modified envelope system that I teach on my other video helps you when you're in a cashless environment, when stores were not accepting cash and you had to use credit cards. Planning your meals, I give a variety of ways to do that to help you cut expenses. And if you're prepared and you don't need the things that you've used for preparation, then you have that to bless other people. When we are prepared, we're able to help others. It's like the oxygen on the plane when the masks fall from the ceiling. They say, put on your mask before helping someone else. By putting this mask on of preparation, you're then there to be able to help someone else. So, again, if you have questions, put them in the comments below. If you have some other tips or ideas that you've used, I would love to hear them, and I will see you in a future video. Thanks so much.